My name is Angela Nwosu. I grew up in Enugu, raised by a widowed mother who sold fruits at Ogbit Market. We didn't have much, but we had dignity, and we never looked down on anyone. I carried that value with me through university and into adulthood, always believing that hard work and humility would pay off. That's how I met Kelechi. He was charming, ambitious, and full of charisma. A young man with big Lagos dreams, smooth talk, and an infectious laugh. We met during NYSC in Jos. He noticed me reading at a corner, introduced himself, and from that day, he never stopped calling. Within months, he asked me to be his girlfriend. I thought I had won the jackpot. After NYSC, we moved to Lagos together. I got a job at a small but busy pharmacy while Kelechi interned at his uncle's restaurant business. He often talked about owning his own place one day, a high-end spot in Lekki or Ikoyi, with marble floors and jazz music at night. I believed in him, supported him, even when his uncle barely paid him. I would cook, clean, and cover his transport fare when he was broke. I took loans twice from my salary to help him enroll in a business management course. The third loan went into a joint savings account to help us secure our future, he said. But the more he climbed, the smaller I became in his eyes. By the third year, Kelechi's uncle had handed him a small restaurant in Surulere to manage. It wasn't much, but he was proud. His friends started hanging around more tall, loud men who wore too much perfume and laughed too hard at their own jokes. They would sit in the corner of the restaurant, drinking and talking about levels and baby girls. I would drop by sometimes, to bring him lunch or surprise him with a hug. But he started acting different when they were around. He'd pull away, barely introduce me. One of his friends, Hugo, once said, "This one again. Your shadow don't come." Kelechi laughed. Not nervously. Genuinely. And I froze. The final straw came on a Friday night. I had worked late at the pharmacy and passed by the restaurant to say hello. I walked in, still in my lab coat, and saw them at their usual table. I waved at Kelechi, but his face dropped. He walked over and hissed under his breath, "Why are you here looking like a house girl?" Before I could answer, Hugo shouted from the table, "Your burden don't land." They all erupted in laughter. And Kelechi? He joined them. I stood there, blinking, like I had lost control of my legs. I turned and left. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't cry. Something in me shifted. A calm rage. A need to reclaim myself, not just from him, but from the entire version of my life that made me think I had to earn love by lowering my worth. Over the next few days, I quietly withdrew. I stopped calling. Stopped showing up. Kelechi didn't even notice. Or if he did, he didn't care enough to ask. Then came the call that changed everything. Mr. Johnson, a longtime customer at my pharmacy, had always been kind to me. He was elderly, wise, and owned several properties in Lagos. One day, he walked in and said, "Angela, do you still want to run a business of your own?" I blinked. He smiled. "I'm retiring. One of my commercial kitchens in Surulere just became available. I want you to have it on lease with time to pay." It was a small space, but equipped. And close, just 3 buildings away from Kelechi's restaurant. My heart raced. I took it. I withdrew all my savings, sold my mother's land in Enugu with her blessing, and took a silent loan. I had a chef, 2 servers, and a marketing guy who understood social media trends. We called it Mama Angie's Table. Unlike Kelechi's place, which still played loud music and served pepper soup late into the night, mine offered home-style meals with a classy twist: fresh okra soup in clay pots, bamla with goat meat served on wooden platters, clean decor, soft palm wine music, and uniformed staff who greeted every customer by name. We opened quietly. No fanfare. But the food spoke. Within 2 weeks, people started noticing. By the second month, we were doing influencer events and hosting food bloggers. People started abandoning Kelechi's chaotic hangout for our refined calm. Then came the most satisfying moment of all. Kelechi, unaware I was the owner, sent one of his boys to poach my chef. The chef, loyal to me, sent me the message. I smiled. A week later, I walked into his restaurant for the first time in months. His boys were there. Hugo, Chima, 2 others. I greeted them with a quiet smile and walked past to his office. He looked stunned to see me. He stammered. I placed a brown envelope on his table. I just bought this place, I said. He laughed. I didn't. I spoke with your uncle. He was tired of your mismanagement. I paid off your lease. The papers are signed. This restaurant is now under Mama Angie's group. Silence. I walked out to the main area and looked at the men seated. Gentlemen, I said. As your new employer, I regret to inform you that your services are no longer needed here. You're fired. With immediate effect. They blinked, confused. Kelechi stormed out, yelling my name. But I didn't turn back. That night, I sat alone in my office at the new branch. Yes, we were already opening a second one, and sipped a glass of Chapman, watching the restaurant fill with laughter and clinking cutlery. I wasn't a burden. I was the storm. Kelechi's restaurant didn't last 2 more weeks after the takeover. I didn't dismantle it immediately. I kept the name for now, Vibes and Plates, and turned it into a lunch-only space focused on healthy meals for corporate workers. Gone were the loud music and idle loitering. The crowd changed. The atmosphere matured. The smell of pepper soup and beer-soaked floors was replaced with jollof couscous, avocado suya wraps, and hibiscus smoothies. As expected, Kelechi came back the next day, fuming. He barged into the restaurant and demanded to see me. Security, trained and calm, politely asked him to step outside. He shouted insults, called me a gold digger, accused me of betrayal. But what exactly had I betrayed? A man who laughed when I was humiliated. Who called me a burden in front of his friends. The media picked up the story when a lifestyle blogger posted a video titled, From Mocked Girlfriend to Restaurant Mogul, Mama Angie's Revenge. The comments poured in, some praising me, others accusing me of being bitter. I wasn't bitter. I was focused. Kelechi tried to start over with a roadside suya stand in another part of Surolia. But the shine was gone. People knew. His old friends never came back. Hugo moved to Port Harcourt. Chima went into betting. The others scattered. One evening, as I closed up, I saw Kelechi sitting outside the old joint, shoulders slumped. He didn't speak. Just stared. I handed him a brown paper bag. It had coconut rice, fried plantains, and a bottle of water. For the road, I said softly. He looked at me with teary eyes. You really did it. I nodded. You gave me the push I needed. He chuckled bitterly. I lost everything. No, I replied. You lost me. The rest? You threw that away yourself. I turned and walked away, my heels echoing against the tile floor he once strutted across like a king. And I didn't look back. 3 years later, Mama Angie's group had 5 locations across Lagos, each one thriving, each one carrying the same warm energy that birthed the first branch. People didn't just come for the food, they came for the story. A story of resilience, quiet revenge, and self-worth reclaimed. But success did not make me arrogant. It made me more intentional. I launched a small initiative called Dine and Rise, a mentorship and funding program for young women in culinary school. Girls from Mushin, Ikoredu, Ajij, all dreaming, just like I once did, but lacking the confidence to believe they were enough. My mother, now retired from fruit selling, came to visit me often. She would sit by the glass window of my flagship Lekki branch, sipping zobo and watching the world go by, proud and teary. Then, one afternoon, I received a letter. It was handwritten, trembling in ink. From Kelechi. Angela. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for showing me what it means to rise with dignity. You didn't become me, you became more. And somehow, that's what hurts the most. I'm working now as a kitchen assistant in a friend's book car. I'm learning humility. Maybe that's the real wealth I never had. I'm sorry. Truly. I read it twice. Then folded it gently and placed it in a drawer labeled a lessons. Not a love. Not a regret. Just lessons. Because that's what Kelechi had become, a chapter in a book I no longer needed to reread. Some burdens break you. But others, they awaken something powerful. When Kelechi called me a burden, he meant I had no value. That I was dragging him down. What he didn't know was, burdens can turn into bridges when placed in the right hands. I didn't destroy him to prove a point. I built myself to rewrite the story. My story. And for anyone out there, woman or man, sitting quietly in someone else's shadow, remember this. You don't need permission to rise. You just need the strength to walk away. Even if you do it in silence.